All right, here we are again. Another weekend, another live stream. Gotta start getting people to pop up here. There we go. Starting to see a few people now. Hello, Debbie. First one on. There we go. Now it's starting to get a few people in here now. How's everyone going? So I decided a couple weeks ago I was going to do this because today's episode is episode number 100. Very excited about that. I never believed that we would get this far, but here we are. Thanks, Kathy. Appreciate that. Yeah, now everybody's starting to pop in. Woohoo! Yeah, I never would have imagined that we've gone this far on this. Never would have thought I had 100 vlogs in me. But it's funny. It's kind of like Jordan does. For every vlog he does, he gets like ideas for like three more. So, and I'm starting to get to that point too. Thank you, Dolores. I appreciate that. That's a good start. Thank you, Brenda Lee. I appreciate the compliment. Yeah, I'm getting. I think I'm getting better at it. I just did one yesterday. I think it's probably going to be the best vlog I've ever done. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. You'll have to tell me what you think of the one that comes out on Monday. Yeah, I heard about that, Denise. That's really. I mean, assuming you're talking the same thing I'm talking about from Dayton. I don't know if I'd call it excitement, but yeah, that was not a good day. That's sad when that happens. Thank you, Robin. Appreciate that. Yeah, I never thought I'd get here. Now I got to just do that 9 more times to hit 1,000. I don't know if I got that in. Maybe we'll see. Yeah, I did. I really did like Rudy's barbecue sauce. I mean, I haven't broken open the bottle I got there yet, but it was really good. What they had in the restaurant was very good. So I know it's going to be good. I got barbecue sauce in the fridge, so I don't want to have like 12 different bottles of barbecue sauce open at a time. I don't know. We'll see if I do 1,000. That'd be fun if I can keep it going. Sometimes it's a challenge at this point still to get up in the morning and figure out what am I going to do today. What can I do that'll be interesting. And I got to admit, I'm still baffled. What it is people watch and don't watch. That's really strange to me. I was just thinking right before I started that when I did that Mayborn Museum a few days ago, I figured that was going to be a great video, but it really was kind of disappointing in terms of views. And then the video I did the next day was 4 minutes of me sitting in a chair with a cat in my lap, and that one just buried the Mayborn Museum. I don't know. I don't get this. Thanks, Sharon. I'm glad you're watching all of them. I am pleased with how well they all do. I'm getting consistently 1,000 or better views on every video. So, did I see the Adam the Woo video today? No, I haven't. I actually haven't watched Adam the Woo in a while. It's basically, I'm spending so much time, doing vlogs, doing my own vlogs that it doesn't leave me a lot of time to watch, a whole bunch of others. I still watch Jordan's, but that's really about all I do. I've been seeing Torchy's tacos around here, so yeah, that might be something we'll do at some point. It sounds like the kind of thing that I would enjoy doing. I hit a pizza place today, and that'll come up in a couple days. Oh, let's not jump ahead of things, Karen. It's not 1,000 yet. It's only 100. Yeah, you'll have to tune in about 2.5 years for episode 1,000. Wow, Mexico City. Here we go. How's the weather today? It's actually a little cooler today than it's been for the last couple of weeks. It's been, flirting with 100 for the last month or so. But yeah, we had a kind of a cold spell. It's down to 90 today. Can Jordan do a vlog of the family house that starred Christy McNichol in? It is on. Well, that would be something that he'd have to do. I don't know. You'd have to ask him that. Well, I appreciate the enthusiasm just the same, Karen. Like I said, we'll hit it at some point, but it's still a ways off. Yeah, I didn't wear a tie-dye shirt today, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't realize that I was going to blend into the couch so much last time, so I think I don't know. Maybe I won't do that again. They're fun to wear around, but I either need to wear something else or take the cover off of the couch so that I don't just look like a head that's floating in space. Job hunting is still going okay. I haven't heard anything about the QA job, so I'm kind of making the assumption at this point that maybe that's not going to happen. But there's a couple other kind of really similar things that have been dropped in my lap that I'm looking at that I'm pretty excited about. That I don't know. It'd be really cool if it happened. It'd be something I'd enjoy doing, and that's always a big thing for me. I've been really lucky in my life so far with jobs because I've never really had a job I didn't like. I've had jobs that I didn't like the way they treated me. Disney, I'm talking to you. But for the most part, I've never actually had to leave a job because I didn't like doing the job. Even at Disney, I loved doing the Disney. I just didn't like, how they treated people. So, that's what has to happen. Is Jordan back yet? I don't think so. I think he's still traveling. Actually, I got a T-shirt I got for him. You remember when I went to Bucky's and saw that T-shirt that looked like the Ramones T-shirt, but it was Willie Nelson and all those other country stars on it. Yeah, I called Jordan, or I texted Jordan right after I saw that, sent him a picture of that, and he said, "Oh yeah, man, will you get me one of those?" So yeah, I got one of those for him. So I got to send that to him at some point. Yeah, if you remember the shirt, I showed it and said, "Oh man, Jordan would love this." It was either that or that wife beater T-shirt, and I didn't think that was going to go for him. I sent him a picture of that one too, and I said, "Yeah, you probably won't like it because it's a wife beater T-shirt." And he says, "Well, that and the fact that it's a white T-shirt, and I don't usually wear white T-shirts." Yeah, me either. Breaking the rules today, though. Does the unfortunate shooting in El Paso change my opinion of living in Texas? No, it doesn't. That's going to happen anywhere there's people. Unfortunately, there's good people and there's bad people everywhere. I still think the people in Texas are the nicest people I've ever met. So, there's going to be jerks out there. It just happens. Yeah, it is really sad. I don't know what makes a person think that they're going to get anything from that. I mean, you know it, but you're not going to get away with it, and you're going to either wind up dead or like this guy in El Paso who they're talking now. They want to charge him with a death penalty. You do something like that. That's I think that's what the death penalty is about. No, I'm not really having a problem with the weather. Yeah, it's hotter and more humid here, and but you know what? I dealt with the heat in California, and the humidity isn't really as bad as I was expecting it was going to be. Yeah, it's moist and sticky here in the summer, but there's also generally a breeze blowing around out here, and that sometimes makes a big difference. We got to when it got really hot in California, it was usually because we had something called a Santa Ana condition. Because normally what you do is you have the ocean breeze blowing onshore, but sometimes you get a high pressure system in the desert, and that changes the flow, so it's flowing offshore, and you get a bunch of dry, hot air coming off the desert, blowing into Southern California, and so humidity goes down to like 10%. And I don't know. It hasn't really been that big of a deal. So does it snow in Waco? Yes, occasionally. I mean, I don't know specifically in Waco, but I do know it snows in Texas from time to time. It isn't, a whole lot of it. You'll probably maybe get an inch or something. We're never going to get, 12 feet of snow, I don't think. But yes, it does supposedly snow here in Texas. I'm just looking for more fun, getting some rain and stuff like that because I love that. What is D23 at Disney? D23 is a Disney Fanatics convention. It usually happens at the Anaheim Convention Center right across the street, and it'll be, it's Disney stuff, and so you'll see props from the park, you'll see you know stuff from movies and stuff like that. So that's what D23 is. I drove through heavy snow in Waco in 2004. Okay. I don't rule it out. I'll definitely have to prepare for it at some point, but I'm gonna have to get some, snow chains and stuff like that for my tires. But you know what? We'll deal with that when we get to it. Thanks, Robert. I'm glad you liked the Waco Bridge. That was fun too. I've been actually meaning to do that for a long time. I drove by it initially that first time when I went out the first time, just kind of wandering around looking at stuff about a month ago, and I saw it. It's like, you know what, I got to hit that, and it was like, it was everybody was talking about how I should go there, and I'd seen a vlog of somebody that had gone there, and they went there at night, so it didn't really do any good. You really couldn't see a whole lot because it was just basically, yeah, I'm on the bridge. I know it's totally black here, but I'm on the bridge, and so yeah, I figured at least I had to go during the day, and I thought it turned out really well. I thought it was a good vlog. I was proud of that one. Snow chains are illegal in Kentucky. Why is that? I don't know. Maybe because it rips up the road or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, I really got lucky on the Waco Bridge. There weren't really any people. I went there on Thursday, and it was kind of the middle of the day, and I just guess everybody was at work. Actually, when I first arrived at the bridge and started looking around, I looked at the bridge, and there were actually a couple of homeless people kind of hanging out on the bridge. So I kind of waited and held back a couple minutes, and went down by the underneath the bridge and showed the water and showed those ducks and did the story, and then went up and talked about all the sculptures up there. And by the time I got done with that, the homeless guy was gone. So yeah, it wasn't a whole lot of people on the bridge that day. Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens with Halloween either. It's going to definitely be scaled down from what I usually do because I've only got a little teeny tiny backyard. But I also there's kind of like a courtyard out in front of my place. It's kind of like a common area for 6 or 8 of the units, and there's a lot of grass out there. So who knows? I might do something out there too. Might actually, expand outside of the backyard and be a little bit more than we thought. But right now we'll play it by ear. We'll see what happens. When I unloaded all the stuff from the pods, I kind of kept an eye out for when the Halloween stuff came out, so that I could leave that right on the front of the locker, so that when I need it, it's right there and I can go after it. So we'll kind of figure out where we are at the time. It's all going to depend on what the job looks like. If I have a job and have to work that day, um, you know, then obviously I won't be able to do anything this year. But hopefully next year we'll see what happens. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do any vlogging outside the complex. I don't really want to give any clues as to where I live because I don't want some troll showing up at my front door. That's just not what I'm into at this point. Yeah, I did notice there is a Texas Rangers museum. It's over very, very close to the Mayborn Museum where I went a couple days ago. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll probably hit that at some point. Yeah, the Pioneer Chicken, that was something I got one of the vlogs I went with Jordan when we went to the Valley Relics Museum. That was what it was. And they sold this in the gift store. I remember Pioneer Chicken when it was a big thing in California. Yeah, PDX. That's what I thought you meant. I didn't know it had ever been in Texas. I always thought that was a California thing. Yeah, Jenny, you're right. I like I said, it'd be, 99% of you are really great people, and I wouldn't mind meeting most of you. But it's just that one person that's going to be a jerk that's going to ruin it for everyone. Unfortunately, that's what happens. One jerk ruins it. I've heard some negative stuff about the Magnolia silos that people, they go there and then there's a long wait and they get there 3 hours before they're going to close and they're told no, you're not going to be able to, we're not going to be able to accommodate you and stuff like that. I don't know. It seems like it's maybe become too big for itself and they maybe need to grow a little bit so that they can accommodate more. I didn't know there were any Pioneer chickens left. Where are they, Jason? Are they both in California or where? Pioneer Chicken was kind of a smaller version of KFC, and it was they just that was their logo is the guy carrying chicken in a covered wagon. I don't remember eating it a whole lot too because I don't think there ever was one near me where I live, but I remember the advertising. Yeah, Jordan had to change a lot of what he did because of that, and yeah, I don't know. He probably needs to get to the point where he moves at some point and then becomes a little bit more secretive about where he lives. I don't know about visiting other cities and vlogging. I might. Actually, Jordan sent me a link for somebody just yesterday that I thought might be an interesting one. We'll see. I'm going to talk to him and see what happens. Yeah, I remember. I remember Sizzler. We had a Sizzler right next to my house, DNA, and we went there a lot. My mom and dad really liked the Sizzler, so we'd go to eat at Sizzler all the time. Raising Cane's is that here in Texas? I don't remember hearing of that one, but it might be if it is. If it's a local thing, I do like chicken. Wow, already got 100 people watching. That's impressive. Yeah, it'd be nice to get back onto my bike a little bit. It's been too hot to do it here, but when it cools off a little bit, that might be a fun way to go out and do some touring around town. Just do it by bike. Because what I can do is I've got the GoPro and I can attach the GoPro to the bike or onto my helmet and just do it on my head, and then wherever I look, it's I can film. That'd be fun to do. I might do that at some point. I can't do it now. It's way too hot. Always love a good steakhouse. So yeah, I always look for good recommendations. A lot of times, some of the recommendations that people give, like in the comments that they leave, actually do lead to me going someplace. You remember a couple of weeks ago, I did the vlog at Papa Rolo's Pizza. That was directly as a result of a suggestion somebody posted on one of my videos. Yeah, there's an Aldi's over here. I went in there once. I wasn't really that impressed with it. I don't know, maybe it was a little one or something like that. But Shakey's Pizza in California, yes, I remember Shakey's Pizza. That was great too. That was another thing. There used to be one right in the same center, near where my parents lived, and we went there a lot too. Is Raising Cane's in Texas though, or is it only in Louisiana? Okay, thanks, Diane. I'm glad you stopped in. Appreciate that. I would not vlog a place you go to often. Yeah, I know. I probably should stop talking about Home Depot. That's probably the place that somebody's going to find out where I am and going to run into me at some point. But you know what? Even then, that's not really the end of the world because it's in a public place. And you know what? If I run into somebody in public, it's one thing. It's another thing if they're showing up at my front door. So, and so far, I really haven't duplicated any of the restaurants I'm going to. Uh, I do want to go back to Moroso because I got to try their pizza, but not yet. Why Waco? Basically, I've told the story before, but I'll say it again. What happened is basically everything just kind of fell apart at the same time in California. The job was going nowhere. I wasn't happy there. I knew I wanted to get out. Uh, I was getting to the point where I couldn't afford the house anymore, and I was gonna lose that. And there was just a single event that happened last summer where I came home and I sent my father a text and says, "Okay, that's it. I'm done. I'm leaving California. I'm going to fix up the house, get it ready to sell, and that's going to be the end of it. And I'm leaving." And I've been thinking about going to another state for a couple of years, and Texas was high on the list because I wanted something that was really, really different from California. I didn't want to go too far north because I didn't really want to deal with too much snow. Yeah, I like weather. I like it when it rains, and I will think it's beautiful when it's snow. But the idea of being frozen solid for 3 or 4 months a year just wasn't that appealing to me. So I wanted to be a little bit more to the south on that. And so, and I didn't really want to go to like Nevada or Arizona. Those were too hot. And New Mexico is the same way. But when you start getting into Texas, you start getting a little bit more influence from the Gulf of Mexico. And so I started thinking about that. And then basically the reason I chose Waco was that I literally just went on Google Maps and pulled up, images of some of the big cities, and figured out where it looked like there was the most business and the most opportunity. And I picked about four finalists. Dallas and Fort Worth were two of them. I was looking at a city on the east side of the state called Longview, and I was looking at Waco. And when I was here in January, um, I went and visited all four of those cities and actually got some advice on some other places to look. And in the end, I just really liked the vibe here in Waco. I've lived in California my whole life, and I like the fact that Waco has kind of a small town feel to it, but it's a big and growing town. But it's also unlike California because I lived in a city called Placentia, And unfortunately, you leave Placentia and you go into another city. You go into Fullerton, and then you go into Anaheim, and then you go into, you know, Buena Park, and into Stanton, and into Garden Grove, and into Westminster, and into Huntington Beach, and just go from one city to another, to another, to another, to another. I like the fact that I can get in the car, drive for 10 miles, and I can be out in the middle of nowhere. Can't do that in California because it's just there's too much concentrated people. Wild, Wild West. Thank you for your congratulations. I appreciate that. One of the real surprises when I came to Texas was when I found out that how close President George W. Bush lives. He lives over in Crawford, and that's just like the next city over. I wasn't aware how close that was. Thanks, Jeff. I'm glad you liked the bridge vlog. That was fun to do. I was glad to go see that, and there was a lot more there than I thought because I did a little research on it before I went there, so I kind of knew what I was getting into. But even I was sort of surprised when I got there was those pilings in the middle of the road where they're in the middle of the river where there used to be a second road going across over there, and the one over the other side had all the murals of Martin Luther King. I thought that was great. I was really happy how that vlog turned out. Thank you, Blaze. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a fun journey. Yeah, I don't know how much I could get to the Bush compound. The truth is, they aren't very. They're kind of secretive about where it is. I haven't been able to figure out exactly where it is. Uh, by looking at the maps, I think it'd be one of those things where I'd have to, go there and maybe just look around for it. No, Orange County is a county. There is a city in Orange County called Orange, but uh, when they refer to Orange County, that's the county. So far, how am I liking Texas? On like a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say like 9.5, easy. It'll be better for me when I get a job, but because sometimes I get a little stir crazy going around here. That's why the vlog has been helpful because you know it gives me something to do. I'm not sure exactly where the border is between Anaheim and Buena Park, but I know that Knott's Berry Farm is in Buena Park. And Knott's Berry Farm is on Beach, and Disneyland is in Anaheim. So Disneyland's on Harbor, and they're just like 2 or 3 miles apart. Between Beach and Harbor. So it's got to be right there somewhere. The Longhorn Bowls. That's from the bridge vlog. Yeah, that isn't in a park. That's just right there in front of the suspension bridge. Yeah, I don't know. Is the George H.W. Bush Museum, is that in Texas or is that somewhere else? I don't know. I'd have to look that up. That'd be fun to go because I've been to a couple of presidential libraries because the Nixon Library was literally bike riding distance from where I used to live, and the Reagan Library was up in Simi Valley. I've been up there a couple times. Yeah, that's kind of what I was seeing, Robert. About what little I did see is that it seemed to be north and west of Crawford. And yeah, you're right. It's a huge place, so it should be pretty easy to figure it out. And I would bet you when you get there, it's probably easier to find. But I'm guessing probably because we're dealing with an ex-president and stuff like that, you got to have a little bit more security, and they're probably, you know, are pretty cautious about giving too much information out, especially in today's world. What's hanging on the wall behind me with a wire hanging down? That's it's a temperature and humidity gauge. It tells me the temperature, humidity, barometric pressure, stuff like that, both inside and outside. I got that a couple weeks ago. Oh, I'm going to revise that, John. If anyone can find the Bush compound, it's Jordan. If anyone can get invited into the Bush compound, it'll be Jordan. Yeah, I knew that when I put that on the vlog, asked what that tree was. I knew somebody would know. So yeah, I'm grateful to all of you. I'll do that from now on. If I find something I don't know, uh, we'll definitely ask a question because probably about 20 you came back and said, "Oh yeah, that's a pecan tree," and go back in the fall and you'll be able to pick up the pecans and make some pies and stuff like that. So. Well, Waco and San Antonio aren't really that far apart, so I would assume that it's probably comparable. I mean, what's the humidity right now? Humidity right now is 56%. So yeah, like I said, I was expecting 70 or 80%. It seems to me when I go and visit family in Minnesota, it would be way more humid than it is here. Maybe I'm just more attuned to it now or something. Thanks, Dina. I'm glad you made it too. Okay, so there you go. And I don't know if that thing is perfectly calibrated or not. It seems to me that when the weather predicts what it's going to be, that thing is usually pretty close. So, and I mean, a lot of times, especially with temperature, it depends on where you put the sensor outside. There's a sensor outside there that picks up the temperature and the humidity and all that stuff. And sometimes you put it in the wrong place, it gets in the sun, or, you end up getting covered up with something else, and then that holds the heat in or keeps the heat out or something like that. So, no, it's been 100 vlogs, Jordan. It hasn't been 100 days because it's been more than that. Because you remember at the beginning, I wasn't doing one every day. I didn't start doing a daily vlog until, I don't know, probably my 10th or 15th episode. So, it's been going on for, 5 months or so, but it has been a hundred episodes minus all the live streams. I didn't count the live streams in that. Your Cracker Barrel, all right, nice. I like Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel is great. Thank you, Heinz. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been to Cracker Barrel a few times, so yeah, that's a good place to go. Good food. Thanks, Denise. Appreciate that. Yeah, that is a walking stick on in the back corner there. Actually, go back to my first vlog, and I tell the story of that. It was given to me by one of my neighbors when she found out I was moving. She made that by hand and gave it to me, and So yeah, it was very appreciated. It's a beautiful piece, and I've talked about it a few times. Am I getting blind drunk during the live stream to celebrate? Well, I don't know. You can pretend that this is water, or you can pretend it's moonshine, but you know, I don't know. You'll have to compare the quality and how much I'm slurring my speech at the end to see which is which. Have I been to Marble Falls yet? No, I have not. Oh, everyone relax. It's not alcohol, it's water. I've never seen Breck drunk. No? Then it's working. Good. Hmm. Gin or vodka, yeah. It's actually just a big glass of that deadly chemical called dihydrogen monoxide. Do they make 100-gallon cowboy hats? I know they got 10-gallon hats. I've never heard of a 100-gallon. I don't know. It seems like that'd be bad on the back. I'm glad you like the Wayborn Museum. That was fun for me too. I mean, it was really geared towards kids, but I love that kind of sciencey stuff, and especially things that you can, literally, touch and manipulate yourself. I always found that a lot of fun. They used to have something in San Diego when I was a kid. Well, they still have it. It's called the Reuben H. Fleet Space Museum, and the museum itself has changed a lot. It was more just kind of a big open room with a bunch of like experiments that you could play with, and I love going to that place. I think it's a little bit more formatted now, and so I don't know. I don't know if it's as good as it was. I went a few years ago and wasn't as fun, but it's still good. I love stuff where you can play with things like that. Cats need their own channel. Yeah, 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 yeah. You watch them sleeping all day. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that. Appreciate that a lot. You talking when Bill Nye was a straight guy for Doc Brown from Back to the Future? Yeah, you got to be really careful with that dihydrogen monoxide. I mean, it's so into our life these days, and I mean, even in our tears at this point. So, I mean, yeah, it's scary. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. That's very generous of you. Yeah, yeah. So many of you guys have been here from the beginning, and it's that's the thing that kind of gives me the desire to keep doing this is that I do keep getting so much feedback. I love reading your comments on the videos. I actually enjoy doing these live streams too. When I first thought about going on and being on, just me and a computer monitor for an hour, it seems scary. It's like, what am I going to do? But I really enjoy doing these. Yeah, like I said, Dean, I went to the Space Museum just a couple years ago. It was fun, but maybe I'm just gotten to the point where I like being a little bit more just being able to improvise and that kind of stuff. And am I on an Amazon gift list? No, I haven't really done that yet. I don't know. I might get to the point where when I buy a house, I might do something more along that lines. But so far, what I get, what I need, I just tend to go get on my own. So thank you, Janet Matthews. I really appreciate that. That's really, really generous of you. Did I cook anything this weekend? Nothing really. I mean, I had a pork chop last night that I just did in the oven, and I go buy some, corn on the cob periodically, and I'll steam that. But that isn't really, you know, it isn't really anything that's that big of a thing that's worth doing a vlog on. Basically, I go buy like different kind of rubs that you can put on meat that are flavors and stuff like that, and then you just put it in the oven for at 400 for 20 minutes, and you're good to go. Is Flash still in California? Yes, Flash is still in California. Yeah, well, that's another issue I got to deal with, Dina. Is I've got so much junk right now that basically anything I need, I already have. So yeah, I don't know what we'll do for like housewarming gifts, but I was thinking, it might be kind of cool, if I get like a fixer-upper house and start doing projects on that, it might be kind of fun to, you know, allow people to sponsor this part of a project. Hey, I need some paint. Oh, okay, here's some money for some paint or something like that. It might work that way. I don't know. I haven't gotten to that point, so we'll see what happens. Thank you, Teresa Young. I appreciate that. That's really generous of you. Yeah, exactly. Breck's old house. Yeah, yeah. A lot of people have made that connection. That it's like this old house. So, and in Waco, it's going to be pretty likely that I'll be able to get like an old house because they are all pretty old. It'll be kind of fun doing that kind of stuff. You can ever make a firework with 1,024 elements? I have. Yeah, that'll pop up at some point. There's actually four of those videos, and I didn't actually make a. I don't think it was 1,024. I think I rounded off at like 1,000, and since Piccolo Pete's come in packs of six, six doesn't go evenly into 1,000, so it turned out to be like 1,002. And then in their infinite generosity, they donated one. So I think one pack. So I ended up with like 1,008 on there. Yeah, I enjoy doing the DIY vlogs, and there haven't been as many of them lately because at this point, it's an apartment, and I've really fixed the big things, the things that annoyed me, the things that were like, just wrong. There's a few stupid things, but they aren't really dangerous or any kind of a threat to anything. So I thought you'd done 512. The first one I showed you was 156. Then I did one with 400, and then I did one with 600, and the last one was 1,008. And I don't know if I'd want to make them anymore because that was $800 worth of Piccolo Pete's to make that, and it all burned up in about 45 seconds. It was impressive, and it was a hit of the whole block, but it's a lot of money and a lot of time to assemble those things. So and I was also a little bit concerned because that big one I made, I think it almost blew up, because it was literally like a rocket and it was shooting flame like 12 feet in the air. It was scary. Yeah, well, Texas is a really old area, so it isn't really unlikely that you're going to find an old house. Are you getting anxious about house hunting? Yes, I am. Yeah, I mean, the apartment is fine. It's the people around here are nice and it's quiet and it's given me a lot of content for vlogs. So I'm happy here. It's relatively inexpensive, but yeah, I would love to have my own place. It's been so long since I've had a house where or it was so long that I had a house where my front door was in the backyard, so I never had to worry about people coming up to the door or anything. And yeah, that happens now from time to time. And when I hear my neighbors outside, um, it just it still kind of freaks me out a little bit because I'm not used to that. Yeah, fortunately with the Piccolo Pete thing, all the flame went up. So yeah, I've met a few of my neighbors. Not a whole lot yet. Like I said, I'm kind of quiet and I kind of stay in the apartment a lot. But I've met a few of the neighbors, and of course I know the maintenance people because they've been in here a bunch of times. What do the numbers mean on the vlog? That's actually an interesting question. Basically, what I just kind of created my own numerical system. When I defined it, I knew I wanted to have just 3 digits for the number, and I knew if I did 3 digits in a base 10 counting system, I was limiting myself to 1,000 vlogs. So I invented my own thing. Basically, if you know a lot about computers. Uh, the computer operates. We count as something called in decimal, which means there's 10 digits between 1 and 10. Computers though work better with something called hexadecimal, where there's 16 digits between 1 and 10. And the way you count is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, A, B, C, D, E, F, 10, and then it's 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and it goes that way. And so there's 16 digits between 1 and 10. There's 256 digits between 1 and 100. And what I did is I just invented my own thing based on hexadecimal, but instead of stopping at F, I go all the way to Z. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, Q, blah, 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 to the Z, and then we get to 10. And so I figured out that doing that, I can stick with a 3 digit numerical system and have like 46,000 possible numerical combinations. And doing one vlog a day, it'll take me more than 100 years to do that. So, I just didn't want to run out of digits. And I figured if I started off with, ETM hyphen 000000 or something like that, people are going to say, oh, come on, you're getting diluted now here. You're not going to make 100,000 vlogs. So this way I could stick with 3 digits and not look like I was too full of myself. So yeah, 02S, that ended up being episode 100, which is what comes out in about a little over an hour. Thank you, Widex Tech. I appreciate that a lot. Widex Tick, not Widex Tech. Sorry, reading too fast. Yeah, Laura, maybe I'm not as smart as I think I am because I got to the point where I started saying to myself, okay, so how do I convert that back to decimals so I know how I'm counting? And so I actually had to create um, an Excel chart actually that runs through all the numbers so that I can go and say, okay, 100 is 02S and 1,000 is whatever that is. What happens after the 46,000th vlog? I don't know. Ask me in 100 years. Because I figured, like I said, 46,000, and it's actually a little more than 46,000 because since there's 36 digits between 1 and 10 on my number system, that means that, what it really is, it's 36 times 36 times 36, and that's the actual number. And it's actually a little above 46,000. So almost 47,000, I think. I have thought about intro music. The question is, finding something that one, I like, and two, isn't going to get me copyright hits. You know, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll do something at some point, but I'm not musical myself, so it would be a matter of finding something else that I like that I think works well with it. And Thank you again, Witx Tech Tick. I keep pronouncing that wrong. I don't know. That's like a tongue twister there for me. Witix Tick. I'll have to say that one. Takes me a while to learn names sometimes. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe Jordan, Jordan could make something. I don't know. I've thought about maybe going and using some Candyland Riots music because I'm sure Jordan wouldn't have a problem with that. But it's a matter of finding something that you know I think would work well. And I really like the stuff that Jordan uses on his vlog because it's real high energy in that. But I don't know. I don't want to steal what he's done either. Yeah, see that's one of the advantages you get with Canadian postal codes. When you introduce letters into it, you increase the number of possibilities because there's 26 letters. So yeah, I mean, that's just kind of what I was thinking. Yeah, Pioneer Chicken. Yeah, that was big in California. I don't think I've ever actually had Pioneer Chicken because there wasn't a Pioneer Chicken real nearby me. It was always KFC when we go to chicken. Can I do a vlog about cleaning a computer keyboard? That's an awful one because it really to do it right you have to almost take the keyboard apart and that can be a challenge sometimes. Well, I'm glad you stayed up a little bit for me, Lynn. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe at some point I need to start going back to doing it at different times of the day. Most of the vlogs I do, or most of the live streams I do, I usually go live 2 hours before the video is posted. That way I can kind of get everyone excited for that and talk about what's coming and go from there. But yeah, I do have to consider the fact that I have viewers elsewhere in the world, and I probably should do one early in the morning or later in the evening or something like that, so that all my people, all my friends on the other side of the pond don't have to miss out and end up sleeping through it. Actually, you say a small world, but I actually did think about using that, like playing it backwards and distorting it and making it sound really kind of disturbing and twisted. But I really couldn't come up with anything that sounded good. So yeah, I don't know. I just leave it silent right now. If I find some music that I like, maybe we'll do something. But thanks, James. I appreciate that you like my vlogs. I never really thought I'd enjoy doing them as much as I do. So yeah, I'm having fun doing them. So I'm glad people like them. So you think I'm going to plant that song in your mind if I do that? It's a world of laughter, a world of tears. Okay, sorry, I'm not going to do that to you. Yeah, that's probably what I'll do. I mean, I do some woodworking too as a hobby, and I see a lot of content coming out of that because I'm going to have all new things now. I'm going to need to build when I move into a house, and so yeah, there'll probably be some woodworking vlogs at some point because I make a lot. I make some furniture. I haven't really talked a whole lot about that. Yeah, that was dedicated just to you, Dina. I'm glad. I'm glad. Did your husband like the burritos? I mean, yeah, I would guess that refried beans probably aren't that big in Australia. Do I have a timeline for the house? Yeah, William, I don't know at this point. I'm on a 6 month lease in the apartment. So that ends in, I don't know, November sometime. And I'll have to make a decision at that point whether, I'm going to stay another 6 months or whether I'm going to, buy a house at that point. Might be a little hard to buy a house around Christmas, but that might also benefit me too. Nobody does that, so if houses are on the market at that time, you know, maybe the prices will be lower. So yeah, we have both KFCs and Popeyes in Texas here. I've seen both of them. Yeah, I know it's freaky, but I've been here in Texas now since the middle of May. So yeah, it's time's going fast. This just beeps. We'll do home repairs for food, huh? I am expecting to be able to pay cash for the house. So yeah, what I did is I had some good equity in the house that I sold. So I expect at some point when I do buy it, I'm going to pay cash for it. Right now, I just got the money parked in an online savings account earning 2.1 interest. So that was the advice of my brother-in-law who suggested I do that, and that was a good move. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the electric bill here because you're right. At worst, it's been like I think $30 has been for electricity, and I mean, I got the air conditioning on every day, all day, and all night, because that's really the only way to, you know, to keep it cool in here. Because if you turn it off at night, then it starts heating up, and then it's so hard for the air conditioning to get to the point where it cools it down again. It takes another day or a day and a half to get it comfortable in here again. So, but yeah, it would be really nice, VNA, to not have a mortgage. So yeah, that's gonna and I should easily be able to do that because yeah, I was in that house for 22 years, so I made some good money. Yeah, I was looking at housing when I told you that I came here initially in January just to kind of check the place out. Um, and I found a whole bunch of houses that I think I would be able to buy with what I have. So yeah, I think I'm going to do well. And what I was actually doing when I was looking around, I was only in kind of one part of town, actually very close to where I am now, down by Waco Lake. And I figured, a lot of the houses there were 2.5 or 300,000. And I figured, and a lot of that is probably just a premium because you're right near the lake, and that isn't a huge priority for me. Uh, to be near the lake. I wouldn't mind being a little bit further away from the lake and maybe getting some more property. That's what I'd really like is to be on a big plot of land and then have a house comparable to what I had. I was happy with the size of the house I had. It was just about right for me. I think I want to get a single story house this time instead of a two-story house. But other than that, you know, um, I was very happy and very at home and very comfortable in my house. So if I get that house in a single floor with maybe a couple acres of land, I'd be in hog heaven. Well, you're right to an extent, Blaze Fairchild, that closer to the water means more bugs. But in reality, the bugs that you have to worry about most, are like the mosquitoes, and they don't usually hang out in lake water so much because one, it's a little too cold, and two, it's a little too there's too much motion, and generally there's like fish and stuff like that will eat the larvae when they're in the water. They usually, the mosquitoes especially, they tend to grow where there's like stagnant water. they're more likely to be a bucket of water that was left in someone's backyard than like out in Lake Waco. So yeah, I was in an HOA in California, and I don't know, it wasn't too bad. I've heard a lot of horror stories about HOAs. That they tell you, yeah, you can't have you know a different kind of doormat, and they try and micromanage every little thing. And the one I was in, it wasn't that big of a deal. In fact, when I first moved in, I actually volunteered to be on the HOA committee just because I wanted to make sure it wasn't going to turn into like a Nazi organization where they were just trying to micromanage every little decision. But I have to admit, they never really did. When it came to approving changes to people's property, basically the only requirements were that it not damage the neighbor's house, and that you get neighbor approval, and basically the city approve of it. So that's really all it really should be. I don't like the idea where they try and micromanage the color of the painting of the house and what kind of plants you can put in, try and make it all look very sterile. It never really did that. There was enough uh, lenience in the rules that they allowed everyone to kind of turn their house into their own place. I get the feeling that some of the HOAs that I've heard about would never tolerate me, doing my Halloween or some of the stuff I did for Christmas. So the fact that I never had any problems with any of that was a good thing. Yeah, I think what was going on with the electric bills in California, I think it was a lot of just the environmental stuff in California. It just became more expensive. And like I said, the air conditioning is on all the time, but the air conditioner compressor that's outside now, it appears to be brand new. It's probably one of the many things that they updated in this apartment before I moved in. And it may just be that one, electricity is less expensive in Texas. Two, maybe since this apartment is about half the size of my house, maybe it doesn't cost as much to keep it cool. And three, maybe the air conditioning is just way more efficient than it was 30 years ago when I bought my last house. But it got to the point where I very rarely use my air conditioning in California just because, it was what I'm paying for a month for electricity here. It would jack up my bill if I just used it for one day there. So what were the HOA fees at my California house? It started at $100 a month, and then by the time I left, it was 130 a month. But for that, everything in front of the fence was the HOA's responsibility to do. So they had groundskeepers that came in and kept the place looking nice. We had a beautiful pool and a fitness center in there. So it was good value for the money that we paid for it. Is the AC unit attached to the pad with caulking? I don't know. I didn't look. It may very well be. And you're right, Joey. That might be a part of it too. It may be that maybe they aren't. I don't know. Maybe they take the total electricity used by everyone and divide it between everyone. I don't know. I don't know if that's the issue, but you'd think that if you're only paying $30 a month for electricity, that everyone would be running their air conditioning all the time, and you'd think that if everyone was doing that and it really was that much of an issue, that we wouldn't be paying $30 a month anymore for that. So there's got to be something going on there. It might just be, like I said, it might be a combination of things. It might be the fact that electricity is less expensive. It might be the air conditioner is more efficient. There could be a whole bunch of reasons. So, okay, thanks, Laura. I'm glad you stopped by. I can believe that the air conditioning is on this time of year in northern Minnesota. It gets hot in Minnesota. Everyone thinks that it's just cold and colder, but it gets into the 80s and the 90s in the summer there too, and there's a lot of humidity too because there's so many lakes and rivers and swamps and all that stuff around. I don't know. I might go back to that Kittyland place at some point. I don't know. We'll see. How can you donate? Right now, I have a Patreon account. If you'd like to do that, that's always appreciated. Basically, there's a link on the front of my YouTube channel. When you go to my main homepage, it's right there. It's on. There's a link to it. So I don't know how much if a pool is considered posh that much because this place has a pool and it's actually a pretty nice pool. I haven't actually been inside of it yet, but uh, a lot of times in California, housing communities like this and apartment complexes will have a pool. So that's not so terribly uncommon. Maybe that's a different thing in areas, in some place like Minnesota where it snows and you have to deal with draining the lake or draining the swimming pool every year so it doesn't freeze over. But and Karen, you might be right there too. It could be competition lowers prices and increases quality, so that could be it too. But I also think Texas is such a big oil state that I think it's probably a lot easier to generate it because there isn't as much regulation. Like there is in California. Everything is so regulated in California, and there's just so many people in California too. So it's a combination of low supply and high demand, and those two things generally work together to make prices go up. That's called supply and demand. Yeah, it's funny about yard work. I hated doing yard work when I was, um, at my living in my parents' house because it wasn't that much fun. But once I got my own house, I really enjoyed doing it. Yeah, yeah, I've seen a lot of wind power too. That's one of the advantages in a lot of the open areas, around Texas. When we came through, we saw a lot of windmills and a lot of oil wells out there. So, and the beauty is there's generally, really good constant wind coming in, especially across the plains and the Panhandle area. Everyone suddenly got quiet here. No, not Brainerd, Minnesota. I have been to Brainerd, Minnesota, because I have an uncle who has a cabin up in northern Minnesota in a town called, near a town called Walker, and Brainerd's pretty close there. I've been there a few times, but no, my dad's parents lived in the Twin Cities, and my mother's parents, at the end of their life, lived in a small town a little north of the cities called Bram, and then. Early on, my mom and her brother and her parents lived in a town called Babbitt, which is more north, kind of up near the lake. never really had a problem with the hardware department at Home Depot. I've always found what I want, so I don't know. Maybe sometimes it's just a matter of knowing what it is you're looking for. I think sometimes people run into problems because they go into the store and they have maybe a picture in their head what they're looking for, but they don't know how to describe it. And they don't know what it's called, and that can be frustrating finding something in Home Depot when you don't even know what it's called. So I got something. I got a new insect to look forward to. Do they bite or what? What's the deal? I've heard of them, but it's not one of those things I don't think I've ever had to encounter a whole lot. Yeah, there's a lot of songs I'd love to use if it wasn't for copyright issues, but you never know what YouTube's going to do, and if they decide to demonetize the site because I use copywritten music. I don't want to cross that bridge at this point because at this point I'm making a little bit of money on this, but I don't. I really can't afford at this point to have it all canceled just because I do something stupid like using music I don't have the rights to. I'm glad somebody else is answering questions for me. Thanks, John M. Do I ever get to hold Nibble? Not as much as I'd like to. She's just very antisocial. About the only time I get to handle her in any way, shape, or form is when we go to the vet. At that point, she's perfectly content to sit in my lap and just hide because the only thing doesn't, she just does not like the vet. I guess that's pretty common for. No, trust me, Lynn, you don't want me singing. Yeah, I don't know. I might do a toolkit vlog at some point. I mean, most of the stuff I have is just obvious stuff. I mean, you know what a screwdriver is, and I got 100 of them. Just different types of blades and stuff like that. And some of them are duplicates and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. That might be an idea. I'm glad you liked the bridge vlog. That was fun to do. It was hot yesterday, so I was glad to get back in the air conditioning. But it was a fun vlog. All right, Mr. Speech. Yeah, if you come up with something, I like high energy. Think of like what Jordan does. I like the connections and stuff like that. Uh, but obviously, I don't want to just steal his music either. So, okay, thanks, Jeff Kidd. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's definitely the opinion I get from both of them when I'm invading them trying to sleep. It's like, yeah, get away from me. You're bugging me. Oh yeah, if you see what I've done with some of the drill bits I have, that I have some like hex wrenches that are interchangeable. You can put the handle different, put a different handle on it, or put a handle on different bits. And I actually discovered that there have been times where I have actually put the hex bits in my electric drill and used it as electric drill. I'm sure that's not how it's done, but it works. And it's sure better than doing this for 5 hours. Do I think I'll get a dog? I don't know. I've been actually thinking about that for a long time. Actually, probably since Jordan got Jaw, because Jaw is just Jaw is the perfect dog. I've never seen a dog like Jaw. Jaw, dogs are always great. I had dogs when I was a kid, but um, I haven't had one in a long time. I kind of like dealing with cats because they're really independent, and you can go away for a day or two, or and leave them food and they'll be fine. They'll take care of themselves. You really can't do that with a dog, so you end up having um, to get someone to come in and take care of them, and they got to be walked and all that fun stuff. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny about Nibble. She's a sweet little kitty cat. She just does not like to be handled, and she's been like that all her life. They were both feral when I got them, but Bite turned into the world's biggest lap cat. But you're absolutely right. I pull the kitty treats out, and she's down here in a second. In fact, sometimes what I'll do is I'll sit on my chair over there, and I'll just rattle the kitty treat bag, and she'll literally come up and sit on my chest, and she'll eat right out of my hand. But the second you try and reach for her and touch her, she's gone. Yeah, yeah. Dogs are a huge, huge responsibility, and the truth is, I have never been a fan of little dogs. I've always had big dogs. I had three dogs when I was a kid, and they were always collie shepherd mixes or lab shepherd mixes. And so if I were going to get a dog, I'd have to get a big dog. I do admit Jaw is the greatest little dog I've ever seen in my life, and that gives me a way more, it makes me way more encouraged about having little dogs. But when I think of little dogs, especially when I think of Chihuahuas, you think of these little neurotic dogs that are always barking and running around, and so Jaw is a great ambassador for all doghood. I think Jaw and Jordan are both lucky to have each other because they're the perfect mix, for each other. I remember when Jordan was talking about getting Jaw, he was trying to talk me into adopting Jaw's little sister, and at that point, I wasn't ready for a dog, so it didn't happen. But yeah, apparently, Jaw had a sister, and but Jaw, of course, was had the personality. Boxer Lab mix, yeah, that sounds like a great dog. Yeah, that's another thing about the just the real paranoid schizophrenic dogs is they're constantly shaking. It's like yeah, no, that's a Texas flag. Yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, if I tip the screen up, then it looks like I'm like my head is resting on the bottom of the screen and don't have things framed up properly. In television school, they always said draw a line about the two thirds mark up on the screen, and that's where the eyes should be. How's the job hunting going? Well, that's a good question. I was talking a while back about that QA job. I haven't really heard anything about the QA job, and it's been a couple weeks, so I got to kind of assume maybe that one didn't pan out. I'm not totally writing it off, but it doesn't sound like maybe that one's going anymore. So what has happened is I have found a couple other things. They're kind of similar jobs. I'm not going to go into real detail what they are, but I think they'd be very interesting, very fun jobs, and it'd be definitely something I could do. So one of them I applied for a couple of days ago. The other one just hit the market on Friday. So I think what I'm going to do is probably when I get done with this tonight, I'll go and update the resume. Like I said, there's two jobs that were like almost the same thing in two different companies. So I think probably what I can do is is just send the same resume to both of them, because they're both going to have kind of the same things they're looking for. Yeah, I've done that too, Jenny. The first dog we ever had when I was a kid, we got it from a friend of ours whose dog had puppies. But after that, the two dogs we got afterwards, we adopted from the pound. It was funny. The first of the two dogs we adopted was a golden retriever, and he just wound up in our yard one day as a stray, and we sent him to the pound, and we kind of kept tabs on him, and nobody came and picked him up, so we adopted him and we kept him for the rest of his life. And then when he passed away, then we went to the pound and got another one, kept him for the rest of his life too. They're great dogs. I think they know how lucky they are when they get adopted, so I think they love you more when they see how bad things get, and then realize they're going to a new forever home. They understand more than we think they do. Thank you, David. Thanks for the congratulations. Yeah, it's been a fun trip. And I mean, I've kind of done the same thing with cats too, because the first cat I ever had was a cat that I adopted from friends of mine. Well, because they were moving out of state and they couldn't take the cat with me, so that cat stayed with me for the rest of his life or her life. And when it passed away, I went to the pound and got another cat. It was just a 16-week-old kitten, sweet little cat, and I kept him for the rest of his life. Jordan knew him. And then well, shortly before he died, Bite and Nibble came into my world, and basically somebody abandoned them as kittens in my backyard, and so I ended up adopting them, and they've been with me ever since. And so, yeah, I definitely believe in going to the dog pound. I don't do the let's go to the pet store and buy a dog, that kind of thing. There's plenty of dogs out there at the pound that are just as loving and just as good dogs. And yeah, you absolutely got to do that. Yeah, labs are great dogs. They've got just such a great personality, and they're so mellow. And that was the thing with both of the lab mixes I had, is they were so docile and so friendly, and so they just love people, and there was never any viciousness about them. They were great dogs. Yeah, I got a friend back in California who, right after I left, I started seeing on Facebook that he had adopted a German Shepherd dog, and he says that's the greatest dog he's ever had. Yeah, I think you're right. You're right about neurotic dogs. They usually have neurotic neighbors, or neurotic owners. But some dogs are just more prone to that than others. That was why I was so surprised how great of a dog Jordan's dog Jaw is, because Jaw is just the perfect dog. It was a pleasure every time I got to hang out with him or babysit him. What's the news about my mom? My mom continues to be on the mend. It's a little bit slower of a process for her because she's kind of gradually getting her way back to walking on her own again. And I got to admit, when I left California in May and when I went back a couple weeks ago, she's made tremendous progress. So she's doing well. it's my father that's having all the issues, and even he's doing better. He had a kind of a funny little event happen just yesterday. Um, I got this recorded call from Life Alert. My parents both have Life Alert now, and apparently Life Alert got an emergency message from my father, and I got this message saying that they had received a Life Alert call from my father that he had fallen in the bathroom and was bleeding. And so, I started panicking immediately about what's going on. And I tried calling my mom, and my mom's phone is going right to voicemail. I tried calling my dad. Nobody's calling. Nobody's answering. I tried calling my sister. She wasn't answering. I couldn't get anyone to tell me what was going on. When I finally did connect up with them, it turned out it was all but a false alarm. My father was working on replacing the toilet seats in one of the bathrooms, and he got down on his knees to try and unscrew it because he couldn't sit on the seat and grab the screws from underneath. He needed a little bit more torque, and he spent a little time down on his knees, and it got to the point where when he had to get back up again, he couldn't. He couldn't get back up. And of course, my mom's in a wheelchair most of the time, so she couldn't help him. The only thing he could do was call the paramedics, but somehow when he went through Life Alert, they mistakenly thought he'd fallen when in reality he'd gotten down on his knees on his own and just couldn't get back up, and there was no blood or any of that. So yeah, it was nothing. It's just he just they didn't even take him to the hospital. They just brought the paramedics in. The paramedics got him back on his feet, and he was fine. So I don't know. I had to give him a little bit of tongue lashing. Though. Got to remind him, he can't do all these things anymore. And I think he's starting to kind of come to that conclusion. But he's like me. You see a problem, you want to fix it, and you know what to do. But at some point, you get to a point where your body can't do all those things anymore, and you got to start thinking about things like that. I'm fortunately not to that point yet myself, but seeing it happen, I'll have to keep that in mind when I get to a certain point. Do I think I'll do any travel vlogs? I haven't really thought about it. If I did, it probably wouldn't be the kind of thing that like Jordan, where he goes to, you know, some city and then looks at all the great things that happen in that city. It would probably be more, just things that are personal to me that are interesting to me. But, uh, you know, I don't know if I do that. I haven't really thought about that. I might, we'll see. Haven't really put a thought into it. Yeah, well, my father's always been a really independent person. He's like me. I learned how to do what I do by watching him, and so I know what it's like to know that you can do something and uh, and then be frustrated when your body won't let you do it. So yeah, that's just one of those things we gotta work on a little bit. But I think he's kind of slowly figuring that out. It's especially important now because my mom kind of needs him to do some of the things around the house too. And so if he incapacitates himself doing something that maybe he shouldn't have done, uh, then we'll go from there. But yeah, I am actually enjoying doing the vlogs. It's when Jordan first told me, you really, if you want to see your subscribers go up, you need to do a daily vlog. And I started thinking, that's I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. How do I do that every day? But it gets easier as you get along. Sometimes you just get up one day and say, what looks interesting today? It's like, oh, let's go there and see what happens. That's sort of what happened with the bridge, the Waco Bridge I did a couple days ago. It just, I guess that was yesterday. It was like Thursday when I shot it because I'm a couple days ahead. Uh, but it was just one of those things. It's like, well, okay, let's go do the Waco Bridge today. That should be fun. And that vlog just became really interesting because there was so much more there that I wasn't even aware was there. And so it was kind of fun for me to go doing that too. I haven't found a favorite place to eat, but I've found a lot of places that I do like. Basically, all of the places that I've done restaurant review vlogs for, they've all been good, and I'd go back to all of them again. I have not had a bad meal here on any of the restaurant vlogs. Now, there was the first few days. I just started checking out some of the restaurants around here, and one of the places I went was a Mexican place, and I wasn't terribly impressed with what they got, with what I had there. They called it a gringo burrito, and I guess I probably should have known that that wasn't going to be maybe the best thing in the world. It was probably wasn't going to be the most authentic Mexican food, something called a gringo burrito. But uh, I actually figured, what I do is, the first one wasn't that good, and I figured, well, I mean, the place is really nice and it's packed and there's a lot of people in there. Maybe I just ordered the wrong thing. So I went back and, literally explained to the waiter what happened, that I'd gotten something I wasn't really terribly impressed with. And I wanted to know, I wanted to give him another chance. And so I said, what do you recommend for, what is your specialty? What is it that everybody really likes here? And they recommended something else. I think it was a chili rano, and it was okay. It was better. It was a lot better than what I had the time before, but it still was nothing special. So I haven't really been back to that place, but I've been to other Mexican food places. I love Mexican food. That's one of my favorite things in the world. So I've intentionally been looking at Mexican places and Tex-Mex and stuff like that. And I love a good steak, and so the Texas Roadhouse was good. And I've been really enjoying barbecue, and I've hit a few barbecue places. And I did another restaurant vlog today and had a really good pizza. So yeah, it's been so far. It's been a very positive thing, with the restaurant vlogs, and you guys seem to like those. So I'll keep doing those. That's always good to so that when someone does come to town and they say, hey, what's a good place to eat? It's like, oh, what are you in the mood for? And it's like, oh, I know the perfect place. Let's go. Yeah, I don't know if this is necessarily a bad Mexican place, because like I said, the decor in the place, it was a nice looking place, and it was a big place, and there was a lot of people in there. It's just I wasn't impressed with either of the dishes I had. The gringo burrito was horrible, and the chili relleno was only kind of passable. Maybe I'm just getting spoiled, and I just want food that tastes really, really good. I love flavor, so you know, if something is lacking in the flavor, it's not going to do it for me. Yeah, no, and I would never do a vlog on Taco Bell. Taco Bell is okay, if I'm in the mood for something quick, then that's fine. But yeah, you're right. One of the things I don't really like about Taco Bell is there's no real flavor to it. You get all the components in there, stuff that I like. It's all the components of what I put in my burrito a couple weeks ago, but mine tastes good. It's got good flavor. You can taste the meat, you can taste the beans, you can taste the cheese. Is there a Jollibee's in Texas? Not that I have seen. I got to admit, my only experience with Jollibee's is that time I went to the one in Anaheim with Jordan. And that was good, but I don't think I've seen one here. Got to admit, I haven't really looked though. Yeah, if you've never heard of Jollibee's, it was one of the vlogs that I think it was one of the days that Jordan and I went to. No, I don't. Maybe we didn't go to Disneyland, but we definitely hit Jollibee's, and he took me there, and the food was pretty good. All right, thanks, Christine. I'm glad you stopped in. Yeah, 1:30. You're a trooper for staying with us so long. I appreciate that. Have a good night. And yeah, you're right. I think and Taco Bell is owned by KFC, I believe, and that may be part of it too. It might be that they've just kind of you know changed the recipe a little bit, because I don't remember Taco Bell being as bland as it is now when I was a kid. And I remember Taco Bell from back in the '70s. So Yeah, yeah, and that's probably why I'm such a stickler on good Mexican food is because I've had good Mexican food in California, and I know it when it's good, and I know it when it isn't good. Okay, I'm glad that everyone kind of agrees with me on Taco Bell's de-evolution. Yeah, and you'd think that if you own a company called Yum Brands, that the first thing you'd want to do is make your food yummy, but whatever. That's where we are. Yeah, I wouldn't mind a Texas chili place for dinner. That's actually a good idea. I'll have to maybe look that up at some point for one of my vlogs. Today when I got up, I all I really knew is I was in the mood for pizza. So what I did is, I looked at the pizza places around where I was, and you know, sort of the stuff that was appearing on the map. It was like Little Caesars and Domino's and stuff like that. It's like, no, no, I'm trying to avoid the chains here. If I'm going to review a restaurant, I want it to either be like, a small collection of restaurants, or like a one-off, because sometimes those one-offs are the best things in the world. And so basically, I just recentered the map around where I was vlogging yesterday, and looked for pizza places there, and I found one, and that was where I went today. And you'll see that on Tuesday. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but the pizza was good. I do remember when we went to that Jollibee's that they were resurfacing the parking lot, so it was really hard to even get into the place because you had to like walk around the back of the building because the whole parking lot in front of the place was all roped off. So yeah, I know. Sometimes the vlogs that don't work are as good as the ones that do. I was actually surprised that a lot of people really enjoyed that one, even though I didn't really, even though it was just a vlog about nothing. Although I do admit that little Kittyland place. That was kind of interesting. I'll have to check that out sometime when it's open. Have I tried a Bulo's Mexican? No, I have never heard of that. Is that local in Texas or where is that? Yeah, Gina, and that's probably what I got with that place I went with the Gringo Burrito. I should have known that was a bad idea to try something like that. I don't think I've seen an In and Out in Texas. I do love them, and I wouldn't mind going again. I actually got a couple of In and Out gift cards that I haven't used. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll check that out. I just read something recently that said that Chick-fil-A has surpassed In and Out as America's favorite fast food place now. And I love Chick-fil-A too. That's fantastic. Do I prefer cooking over eating out? Yes, I do actually. I've eaten out more in the last 3 months than probably did in the previous 3 years. Because it's easier to cook on your own. You know what you're getting, you know what went into it, and you're getting exactly what you want. I don't know. That's just me. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, Craig. And like I said, I sort of blamed myself when I got out of that restaurant, wasn't impressed with it, and that was why I kind of gave him a second chance by going back because I probably should have known better. But it also wasn't prepared very well because basically what it was fajita meat that was dry and chewy. It felt like it had been sitting under a heat lamp all day, and they wrapped it in a tortilla shell and then smothered it with Velveeta cheese, and that's all it was. And so it wasn't even a good burrito. There was nothing in it. You know, even like authentic Mexican burritos. They'll put onions and cilantro and hot sauce. No, this was just fajita meat. And that was all it was inside. and it was dry fajita meat. So yeah, it wasn't impressive. I actually tried Whataburger for the first time when I was in Waco, and I was not impressed with it. I won't go back. The first thing I noticed is when I opened up the burger, opened up the package with the burger inside, it reminded me of that burger from the movie Falling Down, where defense has just shot up the place because he couldn't get breakfast because they're serving lunch now, and then he settles on lunch and he opens up the burger and it looks like somebody stepped on it. Yeah, this is what I thought. The That's what the Whataburger looked like when I got it. So yeah, I won't go back there. I'm not. I never really was into the fast food burger joints anyway. So I have seen a couple of Portofino's in Waco, and so I may hit that at some point. That may be a restaurant vlog at some point. See what? Now I'll disagree with you a little bit on Wendy's. I think that sometimes it can be hit and miss depending on the restaurant. One of the places I did go in the early days when I before I had any dishes or anything like that was Wendy's, and the Wendy's here were pretty good. Maybe it's just depends on the restaurant. Yeah, based on my experience with between Whataburger and Wendy's, I'll pick Wendy's any day. Look up Texas caviar recipe. Something just kind of that goes on going off on a tangent here. I was really surprised. I was over at the local grocery store, and for the first time ever, I saw caviar in a grocery store. You'd think that would be the type of thing you'd see in California, not in Texas. But I'd never seen caviar in a grocery store. In fact, I'd gotten the impression at one point, because you didn't even see it in fine restaurants anymore, that it was like commercially extinct. So it was really surprising when they had caviar at a grocery store. They also have a great little sushi place there too. Yeah, David, that's sort of what I've been doing too. Is trying to find the mom and pop places. Sometimes they're really, really bad, and that's the reason they're mom and pop places. But a lot of times, especially if they've been around forever, you don't stick around for a long time. Um, if you aren't doing something good. So that's also part of the reason why. That's also part of the reason why. I've been doing the mom and pop shops just to see what is good. That's also kind of why I do look at the history of the place. How they've been around, how long have they been around? A lot of the places I've been around, have been in Waco for 50 or more years. So you know what? If you've been here for that long, it's probably pretty good. I have to disagree, Marianne. I think it is fish caviar because it looks like the cans that I've seen, used before, and obviously they're selling enough of it because they had a lot of it. So you'd think it'd be one of those things that would go bad if it wasn't being eaten. So the fact that they have it, they're obviously selling it. About 10 minutes before I went live, I posted on the Facebook page that I was going to go do a live stream, and everyone's commenting on that now, I guess. Yeah, I love sushi too. Sushi's great. Hi, Pam. How are you? Ah, another drink of that dihydrogen monoxide. So Texas caviar is mashed black-eyed peas. Okay, good to know. I learned something. Let's see. This is another reason why I do these. I learn stuff from you guys. It's funny. I just saw someone posted they sell Texas caviar at Costco, and for some reason my mind thought it said Texas caviar massacre. So yeah, I don't know. That's weird. It's funny how your mind works sometimes. How far have I ventured out of Waco? I've been to Dallas a couple times, mainly just because I've been flying back and forth and stuff like that. And I've been down to I don't know what's the next city down here, Temple, which is about 30 miles south of here. That's about as far as I've gotten out of town so far. Do they still have blue law rules in Texas? Yes, all the liquor stores are closed today. Yeah, you got to prepare ahead of time if you're gonna. It's funny though; they'll sell you beer at the grocery store, but that was one of the things I also noticed too. The local grocery stores don't seem to sell anything but beer and wine. That's something that's a little new to me. I used to be able to go buy things other than beer and wine uh, at grocery stores in California. Am I a fan of football? No, not really. I mean, I'm not someone that will turn on a game and watch it. If somebody invites me to a game, I enjoy going and watching the live events. But no, I don't really follow any sports. Jordan kind of got me into watching the Clippers for a while, and I went to a number of Clippers games. We had fun doing that, but even at the height of that, I didn't when I wasn't with him, I didn't go and oh, there's a Clippers game on. Let's go watch it. No, I only watched him when he was around. Well, I'm glad somebody else likes white grapefruit juice. I just went and cleaned out my local HEB yesterday in that, because they had six of them left, and so I just took them all. You got to make. I think the problem is that a lot of times these stores they look at what people do buy, and if they don't sell enough of something, they discontinue it. It isn't worth having it on the shelf when they can, put something else on the shelf. Maybe that'll sell better. So I kind of feel, after all the experiences I had having problems finding white grapefruit juice in California, that when I see it, I want to make sure I clear the shelves of it so that they know that people are buying it. Thanks, Penny. Appreciate that. I want to know a little bit more about what Tex-Mex is before I start trying to make it on my own. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe when I learn a little bit, my first exposure with actual Tex-Mex just happened a few weeks ago. So I need to know a little bit more what it is before I try and make my own. Thank you, Liliana. Appreciate that. I haven't been to a movie theater in the area. It's funny when I moved into in an apartment. I would go to the movies all the time. In fact, I'd spend every Saturday or every Sunday in the movie theater. In fact, I'd spend the whole day in the theater. I'd go see like three or four movies. I'd go from one theater to the next, to the next, to the next. And for those of you who are wondering, no, I actually paid for it every time. I just didn't sneak into the theater. In fact, there were a number of times where the guy at the box office would see me come out of the theater and then walk right up to the box office and say, "Yeah, I want to see this movie now." And he said, "Yeah, just go back in." He knew I did that often enough, so he knew they got their money out of me. But when I bought a house, I didn't. When I bought a house, there was just so much more to do, and I just didn't seem to have the interest in it anymore. So I haven't really seen very many movies in the last few years, and I haven't seen any of them since I've been here. Oh, that's sad, Janet. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, definitely go take care of your Go take care of your sister. You need to be with her right now. I've only traveled outside of the U.S. Well, technically, I guess twice. Uh, One, just I went into Tijuana, so I don't know if that even counts. And then when I was in college, I was in the band it was in the orchestra, and the orchestra went to Spain one year, and so I was in Spain for a couple weeks. That's really the only time for real that I've ever been outside of the continental United States, except for Tijuana. So yeah, that was it. Where would I like to go? You know what? I like, some of the world wonders. I wouldn't mind going and seeing the pyramids or some of that stuff, or some of those really, really famous historical sites. Those things that belong to the world. Like the pyramids. Has Disney acknowledged that I quit yet? I think I mentioned on another live stream. I don't know if I mentioned it in any of the episodes, but I mentioned in a live stream that I think that I had received a notice from Disney informing me that they were congratulating me on my retirement. That was apparently how they've spelled it out. Apparently, if you've been with Disney for more than 10 years, they consider you a retiree. You're eligible for retirement. I don't think I get a pension or anything like that because I don't think there was anything there. I had a 401k, so I got a little from that. But they sent me a notice congratulating me on my retirement and giving me an option to select the retirement gift I wanted. And I chose these crystal Mickey ears that are on like a little wooden base. And I was jokingly thinking, I was wondering, if I can get them to, because they put a little engraving plate on it, and I was wondering if I get them to engrave it with escaping the mouse. And at the end, I decided I probably wouldn't be able to get away with that, and instead decided I'll just have them put my name on it. When I get the real thing, I'll just peel the engraving plate off and go to Things Remembered and have them make one for me. Thank you, Pam Wilder. I saw that popped up a minute ago, but I was in the middle of my retirement story, so didn't want to interrupt that. But I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'll definitely get some cat treats for Bite and Nibble from you. They'll appreciate it. Bite and Nibble, thank you too. Do I have any job interviews? Not so far, but I've got a couple irons in the fire that I'm working on. I've told you guys in the past about that QA job I was looking at, and I don't know if that amounted to anything. I haven't heard anything from them for a while, so that may still happen. But at this point, it's possible that they've gone with somebody else and that I didn't get the position. But there are a couple of other positions that have popped up in the last couple of days that are actually very similar positions for two different companies. And I've applied for one of them a few days ago, and another one popped up on the list on Friday that, like I said, was almost the same kind of uh, almost the same kind of job. So I think I can almost just recycle the resume I sent the first company for this second company and see what happens. I think both of them would be very fun jobs, something I'd enjoy doing, and be something I could grow in. So uh, you know, fingers crossed. I hope that works. What did I do at Disneyland? I worked in the parades department at Disney California Adventure. So if you ever been to Disney California Adventure in the last 10 years or so, and you watched any of the parades, it's likely that I've driven that float at one point and maybe was in that float at that time. It was a fun job. I mean, I love doing it. It's just, It was a nowhere job. I wasn't going anywhere. All right, thanks, Blaze. Thanks for stopping in. I'm glad you were able to get in here a little bit. I'm going to probably be ending this in a few minutes anyway because we're about 8 minutes to my next video going live, and I don't usually like to uh, have my live stream overlap the release of the video. It tends to affect the views. It's hit or miss with Disney. It depends on who you are and whether they like you. Because there are some people out there that are Disney fanatics and they just love everything about it. And there seems to be no limits to how far those people can go. But then there's like people like me that for some reason management didn't like me and they didn't want to give me a chance to do anything. You remember the light parade in Main Street at Disneyland? Yes, as a matter of fact, the day I left Disney, I wanted to actually go find a couple of my friends to say goodbye to them. And I went walking through the Disneyland Parade warehouse, and the Main Street Electrical Parade floats were in the warehouse. I just read that day on Facebook that the Main Street Electrical Parade was going to be running through Disneyland this whole summer, and it's going on right now because I've seen some posts with some of my friends at who still work at Disneyland saying that they're posting Main Street Electrical Parade pictures and stuff like that. So yeah, the Main Street Electrical Parade is going on right now at Disneyland and will be through the summer. So yeah, if you love it, I've driven probably about half of those floats. In fact, at one point I did a vlog. I think it was called My Disney Story, where I went through and actually showed you pictures of all the floats I've driven. So if you didn't see that one, go back and look that one up. Because yeah, I put a lot of work into that one because it was hard to find high def pictures of all of those floats. And so when I did, it's like I talked about the different floats and all that. I worked on parades called the Pixar Play Parade. I worked on shows like the Phineas and Ferb show and the Viva Navidad show. I worked on Paint the Night at California Adventure. I worked on I worked on the show at Disneyland called Fantasmic, if you've ever seen that. I worked Christmas Parade at Disneyland side. So yeah, I've done a bunch of parades. Basically any parade that's been at Disneyland in the past 10 years, I've been involved in it on some level. Disney is expensive. That was why I never really went there a whole bunch of times before I worked there. But when I got to the point where I could get in for free, then I went a lot, and I kind of burned myself out on it. So the first summer when I got my pass, I would go to Disneyland, 3-4 nights a week, just because I could, because it was free. What am I going to do tonight? Let's go to Disneyland. And basically, I just burned myself out on it the first summer. After that, I didn't go very often. You think I would be a great jungle skipper? Yeah, that would be fun. I know that there's a big process to becoming part of that because not only you have to know the jokes and know the whole story, but you got to kind of be able to make your own jokes because you actually go and ride with different skippers and you get different material. In fact, I've heard that there's like a lot of these Jungle Land skippers are actually stand-up comedians, and there's like a thing where they go rent out a local comedy store, and all of these Disneyland skippers come in and do their stand-up for a night. So, I think I'd probably enjoy, learning the routine and doing that, but I think it would get boring after a while. And I don't know, I think I might get a little concerned too, because I sometimes have a weird sense of humor, and I might go somewhere that maybe I shouldn't be going with a Disneyland cruise. So I don't know, that might be a good thing. It might be a bad thing. So and it could be really bad. So yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people are kind of ending the night now. We've been going now. I just hit the 2 hour mark. So, and like I said, I'm going to probably end in the next couple minutes anyway. So yeah, I do have kind of a deadpan humor. I learned that from watching a lot of like Monty Python. I love just, I love the role of a straight man. You know, it took me a while before I could do it too, because okay, here we are again, another first troll of the night. Bye bye, you're done. Wow, we made it 2 hours before that happened tonight. But going back to where I was going, it was a little hard to do the deadpan, because at the beginning I tended to laugh at my own jokes, and that just wasn't good. So yeah, I kind of stopped doing that, and I got to the point where I could tell jokes and not laugh at them, and so it seemed like it became a little less pathetic. No, that wasn't Jordan. That I got that one. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, go definitely check out the one. I think I called it my Disney story. So yeah, that and it's still on there. So yeah, it was amazing. That must be just a new account that guy set up. Jordan's convinced that it's one guy that has like 20 different accounts, and when one of his accounts gets blocked, he just moves on to another one. So anyway, I think that's going to be the final word on this. I want to thank you all for watching, and definitely check out episode 100, because that's going to go live in about 1 minute. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time. Good night, everyone.